Good evening, everybody, and welcome to council meeting for July 23rd. To call the meeting to order, please, and adopt the minutes from July 9th, special meeting, call meeting, regular meeting, and special meeting, please. Councillor Peak, Councillor Carlson, all in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Okay, motion to adopt tonight's agenda. Do we have any adjustments or changes?
Yeah, there's a suggestion to have two light items. One would be an additional item 12.8, which is a letter of support regarding the South Okanagan Immigrant and Community Services. The report is available on the side table, and all councillors have a copy on your table. As well, item 12.9, construction of the F and I dock repairs. Also, the report is on the tables for you. And not a late item, but just for your note, there's a table on councillors' desks here, which is business licenses related to item 12.1. It's just a supplementary up-to-date document for that.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Could we have a motion to adopt the agenda as amended, please? Councillor Peak, Councillor Trainer, thank you. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Okay, council will move along. I might add that we're hoping to move along expeditiously tonight. Staff have had a very demanding and long last few days with the fire, so we need to move along but still do our business properly. No delegations?
There are no delegations.
Okay, we have an opportunity here for public comment on any highlighted item. Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to Mayor's report. Our community and resources have been tested again. The Aeneas fire has been a major event, and I'd like to first thank all the first responders, the firefighters, both our own crews and the forestry firefighters, and of course the RCMP, who have handled all the security aspects and emergency notifications. John Topham and his volunteers have done an incredible job at our ESS center, and we just couldn't do without them. They've just done a marvelous job, and there's been great coordination between their group and our EOC group as well. This fire involved Central Okanagan Regional District, Minister of Forest Lands and Resources and Rural Development, Regional District Okanagan Smilkameen and the district here, as well as Peachland. When the fire jumped our borders, Fire Chief Glenn Noble and Deputy Chief Fire Chief Rob Robinson set our apparatus into gear. And it's when it crosses our border that we have to become responsible for what happens within. I can't say enough about how they and their crews engaged to deal with this threat to Summerland. I'd like to say that CAO Linda Tynan and all the management staff really did step up and kept our EOC running efficiently throughout the period. As well, I'd also like to thank all the affected residents. Everybody has been pretty understanding, as well as being quite helpful in assisting their neighbors. Hopefully now things will settle down, but we all have to remain vigilant as we go through this hot, dry period. Despite the, I guess it's sort of still raining out there, it is supposed to be getting hotter over the next few days. So that's my report. CAO.
Thank you. Just a little more, a couple more comments regarding the fire. Just most of council probably is aware, but this afternoon at 2 o'clock we were able to lift the evacuation order on all the properties along Garnet Valley Road north of Wild Horse, with the exception of one at the very end. Those properties went onto an evacuation alert. We were also able to lift the evacuation alerts all along Garnet Valley Road and Bridgman Road. We have 32 evacuation alert, 32 properties on evacuation alert at this time, 1 in Meadow Valley, 2 on Callan Road, and 29 of those on Garnet Valley Road. So those are the remaining ones, and we're hoping if conditions continue how they've done, how they're going, that we should be able to get those off pretty soon. There was a more backburning done today, so of course when there's backburning done to control, there's a little bit more action, and it appears that there's more activities, but it has been a good thing. I do note that last week was pretty intense for all the staff that were involved, and that, you know, as you're well aware, we had a late agenda, and a few of the initiatives that we've been working on have been delayed, so we'll get back on track on those. And on that note, I'd like to introduce Corey Gain. She's our new Director of Development Services. Most of council, I think, had the opportunity to meet Corey, but she has one report on tonight's council meeting, but in chatting with her this afternoon, she has 6 reports already finished, ready for next council meeting, so we're hoping to get them on this one, but it didn't work, but there's 6 done now, and she'll get another 12 done, so that we can get back on track. It's coming up for next council meeting, so I think that, and then Tammy's going to speak about curbside collection, because we're still in the midst of all of that, and a lot of the frustrations that we're dealing with are really with the delivery and the contractors, and there's a number of parties involved, so we're trying to coordinate it and stay on top of it, and you'll hear more about that from Tammy. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, moving on to 10.1, correspondence. Is there anything from the list of correspondence that council would like to bring to our attention? Councillor Peak.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to just bring to staff's review the item regarding signage that they're using in West Bank or West Kelowna, and whether they might like to review that. And there might be some advantage if there's signage that can be requested from the Ministry of Transportation to promote the fact that we want people to be careful of tossing cigarettes and causing fires.
Okay, thank you. Anything else? Okay, could I have a motion to receive, please? Councillor Traynor, Councillor Peak, thank you. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Okay, moving on to 12.1, CAO, 2018 business license.
That will have Mr. Deniger will speak to that, I believe.
I'm actually going to hand this over to Manager Nicole, since she was involved in it.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This report is before you today to review all of the 2018 unpaid business licenses. These businesses were renewed from last year and were sent 3 separate notices in the mail, as well as were phoned several times according to our bylaw, and have had late penalties applied. We are now 6 months past due, and we are asking you to look at the list before you and consider revocation of these business licenses.
Okay, questions, council, of any of the list? Councillor Peak and Councillor Holmes?
Yes, are there consequences of them not renewing their licenses that would impact them as business owners?
Thank you. The only consequence is if they continue to operate as a business without a business license, they could be subject to fines under the Offence Act.
And there is an opportunity for them still to come in and renew their licenses, even with this notice coming forward.
That is correct. It's an attempt to clean up our list. Perhaps some businesses have gone out of business and just have not let the district know. And others, hopefully it pushes them in the direction to come into the office and settle up and get their business licenses on board for 2018.
Thank you.
Councillor Holmes?
So how much time would they have after today if we pass this motion to get in here and renew their license without facing fines?
Basically, at this point, they would have their business license revoked, so they would immediately be acting without a license. They can get a new license at any time by coming in here and paying the outstanding amounts and pay for their new business license. So we will, of course, continue monitoring and looking for any of these businesses that are operating and are now without a license if council passes the resolution. So,
I'm just wondering if with the fact that their names are being made public right now, a bit of a name and shaming, if we give them a week, can we pass a motion that they have until Friday, and if they haven't renewed by Friday, then they're revoked?
You could add an effective
Yeah.
date on it, so you could, at the end of the resolution, you could add effective such and such date.
That might be, one last chance.
I think the only thing I would say to that is I gather that there's been several notices sent out and phone calls have been made to alert these businesses that they're closing in on the time frame, because they had basically until 4 PM today to pay their license fee. Is that correct?
That is correct. A final notice was sent several weeks ago at the end of June, letting business owners know that their licenses were due, and this was a final notice. They had until 4 PM today, and if not, they would be given an opportunity tonight to speak to council. Otherwise, they would be under consideration for revocation.
Yeah. Anybody else? Councillor Holmes?
Just, there could be one that slips through the crack, and they have a perfectly legitimate reason of why they didn't, we just don't know, and that's why, I just thought, it's come to council, it's in the public, we have the press here, I just think, if we just, for one more week, you don't want to put somebody out of business just because, because of, they had a brain cramp.
That's a substantial brain cramp. Anybody else? Councillor Trainer?
So can I just be clear then, tonight if we pass this, then their business licenses will be revoked tonight?
That's correct.
But they can still come in like tomorrow morning and get a new license,
that is
right?
correct.
So holding it off until Friday, what would be the advantage, or like what would be the point of doing that?
It would allow for some flexibility for them if they hear about it through the news and
But
their friends.
they would still have to come in and make the same payment, right?
Correct.
Okay. I think 3 times is, I have a small business, and when I get my thing in the mail, I go pay it in January. You have 30 days. I think 3 times in a row is fair. That's my opinion.
So what would be, I just have a question, if we were to delay the time frame, would that mean that then we would be asking staff to contact them yet again, to try and contact them, or just leave it up to a deadline date that we set?
We could have staff attempt to contact them one more time. We have spent considerable staff
Yeah.
time and resources already, but I'm perfectly willing to do that
I actually
if
don't
council
think
wishes.
I actually don't think that's a very good idea, so.
I'm not suggesting that.
Okay,
I never
good.
suggested that.
Okay, no, that's good, that's fine. I just didn't see how it might change it all if they've already been notified a number of times, but anyway, I'm game for whatever you guys suggest, so if you'd like to make a change in the motion and...
It's not a change, if you just put a motion forward.
Okay.
Yeah, and with what you want to say.
Yeah, go ahead, Councillor Holmes, you'd like
What
to...
day is Friday?
27th?
So I'll move that the outstanding 2018 business license as presented at the July 23rd to 18 regular council meeting be revoked as of the July 27th, 2018.
Does that sound okay? Seconder? Councillor Carlson, thank you. Any further discussion? Okay, now hearing none, I think that's definitely fair. Thank you. Okay, all in favor? Opposed? Carried. You opposed? Okay, one opposed. Two, sorry. Okay, 2 opposed. Okay, motion carries. 12.2, automated curbside
Ms.
collection.
Rothery will speak to that.
Rothery.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As you know, staff have been working on the implementation of the automated curbside collection program since it was first approved in late 2017. And a lot of time and resources have been put into looking at what other communities have done and rolling out their own programs so that we could learn from their experiences and take their best practices forward. That investigation led to us creating a dedicated phone and email for the CART program, hiring 2 full-time summer students, putting monthly articles into our newsletter and regular communications through displays at Municipal Hall and the arena and pool, as well as public education events where we could talk about recycling generally and the CART program. We also created several documents about the program that were intended to be delivered with the carts in their original delivery schedule in June. However, on June 6th, we received notification from our contractor about a delay due to a breakdown on the manufacturing line that would push our delivery into mid to late July. Of course, we were frustrated by that and worked with our contractor to get a notice out to our residents that included information about changes to their schedule, and all of that at the contractor's expense. Finally, on July the 12th, our carts started being delivered, and our most recent update from them, which was from the 19th, shows that at this time, 2/3 of all households have had their carts delivered so far, although this process has definitely not been as smooth as we had hoped, and there are a number of outstanding issues that need to be resolved even with some of those deliveries. Since the deliveries started, staff have been fielding a very large number of calls, emails, and walk-ins with comments and complaints about the delivery. And this has taken a lot of staff time and resources to address. We've been in daily contact with our contractor to send them a full list of all of the issues that have been identified by our residents, and have had an in-person meeting with them as well to let them know exactly how frustrated we are and what we're expecting from them going forward. We have been assured that all households will have their carts delivered by the 28th, which is this Friday. However, there are some special requests that may be pushed beyond that. However, by the 28th, we've been assured that all households with curbside collection service will have at least the base set of carts. Overall, the feedback about the CART program generally has been quite positive. However, as with any new program, there's going to be some feedback about how things could be improved. The feedback we've received in this regard primarily relates to the maximum amount of garbage and yard and garden waste that are allowed under our base program. Staff are going to continue to monitor that feedback and report to council through the fall and into the first year of the program. And we do appreciate the feedback from our community so far and their engagement on this process. Of course, we're also very thankful for their patience as we work through the problems that we have had with our contractor. Thank you.
Thank you. Questions of Mr. Althery, please. Any questions? Councillor Carlson.
It's related to the delay in getting the rest of the carts out and the frustration with the contractor. I'm wondering what is the recourse, and, you know, with all the staff time that's been put towards that should maybe not have happened. Is there something other than strong words that can be done, financial and or political?
So we've already notified them that we're going to be creating an invoice that includes costs, hard costs that we've incurred as a result of the delay, and we've mentioned to them that some soft costs will be intended to be included as well. The final tally on what that'll be and their willingness to pay that full invoice will be yet to be determined, but we have made them aware that we feel that there are further discussions that are needed with senior management about this issue.
Thank you.
Okay. Councillor Peak.
Yes, I know that you've been cross-referencing other communities that have had delivery with this company. Have they incurred similar problems?
So Oliver is currently experiencing the exact same problems that we are overall with the delay. I'm not sure about the actual rollout and delivery. I haven't heard any reports on how things are going for them. I do know that at least one other community had some similar problems with their original rollout and the delay in their carts coming. That sounds eerily similar to what we are experiencing. And so we'll be bringing that forward as sort of something to say about, well, perhaps you might have learned from your previous experiences and planned differently this time. And we feel that's probably something that was overlooked in their planning.
Thank you.
Counselor Boot.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I realize that this is not the time to be rolling out additional programs related to this, but I note the very last paragraph of your report about the suggestions that have been made, particularly to those three. Will there be consideration to those suggestions, perhaps in 2019 or 2020?
As we say to all of our residents, pretty much anything is possible, but it has a cost. And so, of course, that will be up to council to decide what the budgetary allotment they'd like to make to this program will be in the 2019 budget, and staff will come forward with whatever recommendations are requested.
Thank you.
Counselor Pick.
I'll move the motion to bring the resolution forward, which is to receive the updated report.
Okay, thank you. Seconder, please. Counselor Traynor, thank you. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Opposed? Carried, thank you. Okay, green revolving fund policy,
Ms. Rotheray again.
again.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Staff have been busy creating a policy to guide the administration of the Green Revolving Fund that Council directed us to look into in 2017, and that is presented here for your consideration this evening. Some highlights of the policy include that we have put a requirement that projects have a less than 5-year financial payback, and all of these projects will be related to our buildings and equipment. There'll be projects that go above and beyond business as usual, so these are not things that would typically be funded through another budget item. All of the projects must also include greenhouse gas emission reductions, not just financial payback, and there'll be several other factors that we'll be looking at as well when looking to approve a project. Applications will be accepted year-round and reviewed by the Corporate Climate Action Team using Council's financial policy for the funds to be spent on climate action as our guide. There'll be an application package and scoring matrix to keep applications consistent and our approval process transparent. We'll be using the GRITS software program that's offered to us through the $1 Billion Green Challenge in order to track the metrics related to these projects, and that will help us to minimize the staff time spent on that piece of the project. All of our approved projects will, at the end, be required to provide a final report to track their successes and the opportunities that are identified to learn from that project. If you pass this policy tonight, our next steps will be to submit the policy to the $1 Billion Green Challenge to show that we've met that milestone, and then we'll be finalizing our application forms and scoring matrix and other associated documents. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Questions? Councillor Holmes.
In principle, I have no problem with internal competitions. I think they're probably a good thing. But I'm just wondering if there might be a perception of that it's extra work for people who potentially might want to apply, and how would you give them incentives to actually do it?
That's a good question. So I think that, first of all, the sustainability coordinator's role is to help make the process as easy as possible for staff. We don't want to burden them with one more thing to do, but we do want to give them a venue to bring forward ideas that they feel make good sense. And in terms of how to incent them to do so, I think that there's some opportunities for things like, say, electric equipment for the parks group that they've brought forward as something that they would like to see, because they personally don't like having the fumes from the gas-powered stuff blowing in their face, and they find that it would be a more comfortable work environment. So I think that a lot of these projects are going to be brought forward because someone sees an opportunity. But of course, we're more than welcome or more than open to hearing suggestions about other ways that we could incent staff to participate, for sure.
Anybody else? Sounds good. Okay, so I'd like to bring that forward, please. Councillor Holmes.
That the policy, the Green Revolving Fund, be adopted.
Okay, seconder, please. Councillor Peak, thank you. Okay, any further discussion on that? Councillor Booth.
One quick question. This is regarding the loan, the $5,000 over 4 years for $20,000. Is there interest charged on the loan? And, yeah, I guess that's the question.
So the intention is for the loan to be paid back with 1 additional year's worth of payments. So let's say the
Over 5
project
years.
had a 3-year payback,
Okay.
we would collect 4 years' worth of payback in order to help grow the fund. That's what's being
Okay.
suggested.
Okay, good. That's smart, thank you.
Okay, any further questions or discussion? Okay, all in favor? Opposed? Carried, thank you. Okay, 12.4, CAO,
Sorry.
Organics Infrastructure Program.
We'll have Candace speak to this one.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As I briefly mentioned at the last meeting, the province of BC has announced the Organics Infrastructure Program Fund for funding for beneficial reuse of organics. Staff is requesting that council direct the district to further explore the Organics Infrastructure Program funding opportunity and submit an expression of interest for the construction of a compost operation facility at the landfill sanitary, or at the Summerland sanitary landfill. What is the Organics Infrastructure Program? Well, it is a fund to support to support infrastructure projects in BC only that process municipal and/or agricultural organic waste for beneficial reuse. Basically, how the fund is working is that the province of BC is putting in $10 million and the government of Canada is putting in $10 million, and the fund combined will be $20 million. And it's open to local governments in BC only. So it'll be a fairly small pool of applicants applying. And then what will happen is whoever is selected and awarded the funding will have to pay 1/3 of the cost. So it'll be a 2/3 match to 1/3 as they move forward. The reason that the province of BC has moved forward with this organic infrastructure program is to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, to expand processing capacity for organic residuals, to divert new organic waste to a higher value and use, and to support the use of nutrient recovery transformation technologies in the agricultural sector. The Summerland Sanitary Landfill composting facility was inspected by the Ministry of Environment last fall with a subsequent follow-up letter of items that needed to be improved or constructed to bring the facility into compliance. Should we wish to continue with composting operations at the landfill, there is some infrastructure that the district will be required to build. We see this as a great this funding as a great opportunity to explore a chance to supplement the budget that will already be required should we move forward for construction of the infrastructure, improving on the current program, and possibly expanding it to include removal of the district's food waste from the curbside collection program. There are some things in this funding that is eligible and some that are not. All infrastructure, it is strictly for infrastructure projects in BC, as I stated. It's for agricultural organic waste, and it's to create new organic residual processing capacity, and it has to have quantifiable measures of greenhouse gas reductions. What is not eligible is the organic waste collection program costs, duplication of existing resources, so just duplicating what we're already currently doing. The feasibility studies to decide what to do, and any land acquisition which we don't require. The timeline of this fund is that in September there will be a call for a submission of the expression of interest. Should we be approved past the expression of interest, in the spring we will be invited to submit our application for the funding. The program itself runs until the end of 2022. And it's a 4-year program with final construction must be completed by December 31st, but final invoicing and bills must be in by March 31st of 2022. If you direct the staff to proceed, our next steps would be to gather the required background information, such as looking at our product streams that we currently have and the available feedstock that we may have in the curbside collection program, both and including at the Summerland landfill site, to retain a consultant to develop at the expression of interest, and should we be invited to the application, and then therefore moving forward to create a comprehensive design and construction plan. We would also need to create a comprehensive communications and public consultation plan. There are some other things that need to be considered, as not all costs would be covered under the funding, such as staffing, the public education, education on how the program works for residents, the collection program, and any marketing of final product. So the staff would like to request that your approval to further explore the organics infrastructure program funding opportunity and to submit the expression of interest. And should we be invited to move forward with the application?
And just to add to that, again, Candace did allude to it, but it's, a lot of details aren't known now. It's really the principle that you're looking at this point in time. We struggled on whether this is the time to write the council report or wait till till we're actually doing an application form, but I think it's important that council aware that we're exploring it. So there's not a lot of details knowing now, and it will, if we put something together and they were interested in a general expression of interest, it would then come back to council before we finalized the actual application form, and that's where we'd be talking about budget, magnitude, exactly what we'd be looking at, etc. So this is just really in principle.
Okay, with questions, Councillor Trainer.
I just was reading in your report, that inspection that the Ministry of Environment did in 2017, it said that, was it our landfill that was out of compliance?
It is actually the composting facility area that we
Okay.
have that is out of compliance.
Okay.
So we have, we need to respond to it as our plans is to move forward, or else that we'll have to deal with it in other ways.
Would you briefly be able to describe why it's out of compliance?
As far as the biggest thing that would be out of compliance right now is that it's not on a lined area for catching the leachate. We are not affecting any of our water system or any that we tested all that we have, like our monitoring wells have been monitoring it. But the requirement is that we should be doing that. We should have either a concrete pad or some kind of line catchment system, and we don't have one at this point. So that is the infrastructure that we would have to move forward with should we continue the composting program.
Okay, so a grant like this or this program could address these
Yes,
issues?
yeah.
Yeah. Okay, thanks.
Anybody else? Councillor Holmes.
Yeah, I think it's absolutely vital we go ahead with this, but my question was about costs, and I guess that will be coming, as the CIO said, at some point. We have no idea what kind of money we're talking about.
Not at this point. What we would do is move forward with a request for consultants to provide us a quote on developing it, and then we would have to study what we have that we could do and what possibilities there are, and then come up with a general design or like a base plan, and then a high-level budget, and then we could move forward with where we're going to go from there and see what we can do.
Thanks.
Councillor Brute, then Councillor Peak.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have a couple of questions. When you refer to the composting that we're doing at the landfill right now as being out of compliance, does that include the composting of our wastewater sludge?
Yes,
So this organics facility would take care of that as well?
it would.
Okay, thank you. That's one question. And my second question is, again, related to us being out of compliance. Is there any indication on how long we have to get into compliance? I know that, at least I've heard this before, that Summerland landfill is, in better compliance than many of the municipalities in BC, but is there any guideline for that?
They request that we respond immediately and repair it, do the upgrades immediately, but as long as they know that we are moving forward with a plan and we are working on it, they're happy to work with us. So we've already been in contact with them multiple times in discussions with some of the possibilities and where we're going. We actually will be creating a letter for them coming up in the next few weeks that just will address exactly what our plan is once we know whether we're going to move forward with the expression of interest, or investigating the expression of interest. And I did meet with them last week on site on Tuesday, and we did walk the landfill and discussed it again at that point. So as long as they know that we're making steps, nobody can build these things immediately, right? So they know that we're moving forward. I think one of our biggest saving graces is that we are not affecting anything at this moment. We don't show any signs of issues coming out of it, and we have a fairly dry environment here. So we haven't been having any leachate issues with the area to date. But in the same boat, they'd still like to see us move forward with something.
Right. Thank you.
Councillor Carlson. Oh, Councillor Peak, sorry.
I'm just wondering if anyone has an update on the status of the RDOS conversation regarding the composting facility for the regional area, and if this would have impact on Summerland, if we were to go ahead doing this, impact on their facility, if we know anything.
I have a little bit. I've talked briefly with the chair about this the situation of our interest. She's absolutely puzzled, but because they have to deal with it. They're having a workshop with the new councils and the new board after the elections to discuss composting and the technologies around it, the various kinds of technologies that are available, including the technologies that, of course, they've been heavily involved in that were going to be part of our discussion, but we weren't able to do that. So, because there was, I find this fascinating but somewhat baffling, because we had the option to deal with waste material as well as kitchen waste in a dual but separate enclosed in-vessel facility. There were issues around traffic, but it was never discussed what a transfer station might do to traffic in terms of reduction of numbers of trucks. We didn't have the discussion around the potential of upgrading Prairie Valley Road to deal with safety issues that were definitely a concern of the citizens. So I do think there's certainly nothing wrong with going ahead with this, but at the same time, I think we need to recognize that a one-off facility is probably needs, the potential of that needs discussion around what the regional district might have potentially in mind for us, because the ramifications of their involvement would have been a greatly minimized cost to the District of Summerland. My calculations in rough numbers were that the decision we made cost us between $12 and $15 million in terms of loss of upgrades of roads and the potential of $5 or $6 million to put a composting facility in place for ourselves. Those are, off the top type numbers. But by all means, we should recognize that we have an opportunity here, but I think we should keep up in the new council when it comes along, be in discussion with the RDOS, because maybe there's a way to still do some joint things that are beneficial. Because things like leachate and methane, which is about 20 times more impactful on climate change than CO2, know no municipal boundaries. And so we need to be considering the implications of what it means to not contribute and be part of a larger facility that would help with the whole region. And so that'd be my comment on that. But go ahead, CAO.
Just to add to that, so I think that's the timing. I think it's one of those things where there's probably going to be more that comes out on the regional district over time, but we can't miss the boat to at least start this one. And if you submitted an expression of interest and then the regional district came up with a plan that was interested, then you just disregard the EOI. So I think it's one of those things that kind of needs to be done in tandem until more is flushed out.
I certainly agree with that, but in no way, shape, or form should we ever approach the idea of any particular topic without an adequate discussion, because we're looking at potential absolute minimum cost to the district for some sort of combined facility. So I see us moving ahead here, and by all means, we learn a lot more, which is a bonus by doing this. But at the same time, I think administration should be prepared and council should be prepared in the future to blend what we know with what the potential might be for the region.
We did discuss with, during the webinar, we did ask the questions regarding whether there would be second opportunities or third opportunities, so that after our new council came in, or should we have anything further to move forward with the RDOS, we could make the application at that time, and they said no, and they understood that there was, election going on and that there were other things going on, but this was our one opportunity, and that's why we'd like to proceed with it at this point.
Yeah, no, I consulted a little bit with the administration, the RDOS, and given, as you just said, the timeframes around election and their workload, they wouldn't look at the opportunity of engaging Summerland again until after the election.
I think that, though, we were talking about the directors of the program, not of regional district.
Yeah, the
Okay, I thought
province
you,
of BC.
sorry,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
doesn't matter. Okay, would someone, Councillor Peak?
I'd like to bring the motion forward that staff be directed to further explore the Organics Infrastructure Program funding opportunity and submit an expression of interest for the construction of a composting operation facility at the Summerland Sanitary Landfill.
Seconder, please. Councillor Booth, thank you.
And if I may I speak?
Yes, go ahead.
Yes, it's very unusual to receive this kind of funding, both federally and provincially, and only be directed to one province. I think it really is an opportunity. And while I certainly view our landfill as an asset, it can be a liability. So the opportunity to address some of the infrastructure is really something we should definitely explore. I commend you for getting on the opportunity and going forward.
Thank you.
Councillor Holmes.
Yeah, I just had another question, actually. Does this basically, would this application commit us to the landfill location, or if after further study, another location seemed to potentially be more suitable, would that be able to be accommodated?
Within the fund itself? It would commit us to the Summerland Sanitary Landfill, because we would be able to make some changes, but the basic premise of it would have to remain the same, because we'd be the one who are putting the application in. It would have to be something they would approve of, and so that would be a big approval, but I mean, it's certainly something we could broach should come the fall there be an opportunity to move it to a different location.
Thanks.
Did we have a seconder on that? We did, didn't we? Yeah, one further thing, when you're talking about leachate, and I know we have boreholes that we're checking all the time, one thing that's been suggested that we may think along the same, to keep the thinking patterns going the same, is that we have the opportunity of mitigating our problems with our balancing reservoir by lining that reservoir. That has been suggested. So any kind of combination to deal with leachate and lining the reservoir would also be, at some point, it's a different project, but it's something to consider. Okay, any further discussion? Okay, all in favor? Opposed? Carried. 12.5. Investing in Canada Infrastructure Program grant funding application.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This report is to bring forward the ICIP Green Infrastructure Fund to council to get direction on our application for the one project that we're allowed to submit on. This program provides 73% funding, 40% through the federal government and 1/3 through provincial. The program has three main outcomes of the program, of which your project must meet at least one of them. So increasing capacity to treat or manage wastewater or stormwater, increased access to potable water, or increased capacity to reduce or remediate soil or air pollutants. So two projects were identified as options for this application: the flume and water intake upgrades, as well as the second one was the extension of storm and wastewater servicing to the Deer Ridge area. So upon staff review, the flume upgrades have been deemed the highest priority for this program. The two main reasons are that it brings our water intake structure into compliance with the regulatory requirements, and to significantly reduce the risk of any damage that may be experienced by the existing flume, that it's an at-grade structure that is exposed to the atmosphere, trees, and any physical damage that could occur. And it's the only raw water supply source to the water treatment plant at this time. So any disruption to it would disrupt the entire water supply for the district. So based on the program, our current estimated costs are around $3.3 million. This program would provide about $2.4 million worth of funding, leaving about $900,000 for the district to fund. Our current financial plan includes this project in 2019 at a district portion of 17%, which is what we had under the Clean Water Wastewater Fund, which we previously applied for. So the funding amount or allocation from the district would have to be increased. And this would be looked at in the 2019 to 2023 financial plan when it's brought forward in the 2019 budget, should this program be successful under this application. Thank you.
And just further to that, we should note that there was the discussion about extending, of a project to extend the sewer line. But with the work with it not being far enough in design stage, did you want to speak to that?
Yeah, so as I mentioned, the second one was to look at storm and sanitary servicing to Deer Ridge. There was an initial concept that was identified briefly in the past, but it came to light through the key outcomes that were noted in this project. So it hasn't even been developed at a concept stage at this point. We're looking at the stormwater design for that area this year. And with that, we're looking at maybe including a provisional item or an optional item to look at designing the sanitary servicing for that area as well. But at this stage, we're almost completed the detailed design for the flume upgrades and are just starting the conceptual design for this one. So that is another factor that was weighed into this.
There was just not enough time in order to get detailed design, and that they really need a particular level of design before they'll even consider your application. So it would have to be another intake of the grant projects.
Okay. Any questions of Director? Please, Councilor Peak?
Chris, could you tell me what armored swale is? I didn't have no idea.
So that's just a lined ditch, basically, with large rock or riprap to protect it from erosion. So there's a current significant drop at the end of the flume into the balancing reservoir, and so that portion, we're looking at options in the design too to pipe that section directly down into the reservoir, but currently it's a riprap swale that drops it for that last stretch of the swale.
Okay, thank you. It's a good report. I certainly understand the reasoning behind making this recommendation.
Anybody else? Councilor Booth.
Just ask one question. Mr. Johnson, just a moment ago, you said that this is probably the best project to put forward for this intake. Do you think, or maybe the CAO, that there will be an additional intake for this, or that the program will be expanded?
There generally is an infrastructure program, whether or not it's called Build Canada or Infrastructure Canada or Clean Environment Canada. There's generally at least once a year, an infrastructure project. So it's not necessarily another intake, and it depends on the government if they continue the same name of a project. But there'll be another program that's similar to this.
That's good. Thanks.
I just wanted to mention that, we've known for quite some time that flume was in rough shape. And it was, I believe, a secondary priority to the grit removal, I believe.
It was our second application for the Clean Water Wastewater funding.
So, we've been sort of waiting on trying to get this done. But I also would like to remind everybody, and particularly Public Works and I guess our CAO, that, one of the big things this council did when we came in was to indicate that the urban growth area would include Deer Ridge, and does include Deer Ridge. And that's based on the potential for sanitary sewer, which would allow for residential housing and lot sizes and so on in that area, and deal with the water issues that are a problem there with the bedrock, et cetera, et cetera. So I would hope that dealing with this particular project now, the flume, that brings up the potential for the sewer and stormwater for Deer Ridge, because we need that area for housing, and that was one of the major suggestions with the change in the urban growth area.
I'll just address that,
Go
Mr.
ahead.
Mayor. So it's not, it was not on the budget for this
Oh, I
year.
realize that,
Right,
yeah.
and so the main reason that we wouldn't have brought two of them here forward for council to have that debate on which one is simply that it's just, it wouldn't, from when it was identified as a possibility to now, we wouldn't have been able to get the design. It wouldn't have been a successful application.
Yeah,
So
no,
staff, so there, it needs to be added into the next budget realm.
Yeah, for sure.
And as Mr. Johnson was speaking, we will add it to the RFP for the RFP that's going out for the stormwater.
Yeah, but I did emphasize that we, have been looking at that flume as a real problem area, and it's just, what it amounts to is having competing priorities, and you've identified some excellent rationale for doing the flume, and we've got to be certain about our water supply, so, thank you. Councillor Peak.
I'd just like to say I'm very pleased that we continue to do the engineering and the design and planning in advance so that we're prepared for these kind of initiatives. It really sets us up for success, and it's the way to roll forward when there's funding available. So thank you, Mr. Johnson.
Would someone like to bring that resolution forward, or a resolution? Councillor Carlson.
I'll bring forward the resolution in 12.5 as presented.
Seconder, please. Councillor Trainer, thank you. Any further discussion? Okay, all in favor? Opposed? Carried, thank you. 12.6, approving officer designation.
Council, this is a statutory requirement to have an approving officer. When our past Director of Development Services left his employment here, council designated me to be the approving officer. Now that we have Corinne Gain in place as our Director of Development Services, we are suggesting that she be designated as the approving officer, and for an interim basis to appoint me as the deputy approving officer, and that once we get our planning manager in place, the recommendation will be at that time to have that person as the deputy instead of me. And this will allow us, by having two people, this allows us, if there's simple paperwork to be signed or whatever, if Corinne's away on a particular day, it still can be moved forward without delay.
Okay, Councillor
I'll
Carlson.
move 12.6 approving officer designation as presented.
Okay, seconder, Councillor Holmes. Anything further? All in favor? Opposed? Carried, thank you. 12.7.
Mr. Deniger, please.
So this is a request from staff for council support in order to submit a grant application for our asset management system. This follows from a decision and direction from council earlier this year to implement a new GIS with significant funding over the next 2 years. And this is an effort to offset some of those costs and reduce those costs overall for the project. The primary focus being the integration between the GIS and financial asset management sides of the software. Any questions? Happy to answer.
Okay, questions? No questions. Okay, someone like to bring forward, please?
I'll bring forward as presented.
Okay, thank you. Seconder? Councillor Boot, thank you. All in favor? Opposed? Carried, thank you. All
Mr.
right,
Mayor?
we've got our, pardon me?
I'm just going to recuse myself for this next item. I'm on the board of directors of the applicant.
Oh, okay, sure, go ahead. Yep, thank you. Okay. Everybody has their paperwork in front of them, the letter of support, South Okanagan Immigrant and Community Services. Okay, would someone, who's...
I'll just speak to it quickly.
Sure, okay.
As you can see from Nicole's report, it's just a simple request for support on this. When we put in our rural dividend grant applications, we ask as many organizations as possible to give letters of support. The question, we just did make a note here that in some systems, if there's more than one application from a municipality, you may be at risk of not getting the funding yourself. This particular program, it hasn't been indicated to us that that's the case, but we know that there's only a certain amount of money, so that the council, each organization is allowed to have one one application. We do have one going forward, of course, on the agriculture project. And and then if council does pass this resolution, we'll get a letter of support off to them.
Okay, good. Councillor Peak.
I'll bring the motion forward for the letter of support to go out.
Thank you. Seconder, Councillor Trainer, thank you. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Okay, would someone like to, is that Councillor Holmes in?
Dave is going.
Yeah.
No, no.
Rotary before? Rotary next?
Is Rotary next, and another late one?
Yeah, 12.9 is next. Mr. Deniger?
No, Mr. Johnson.
Oh, Mr. Johnson, go
I
ahead, sorry.
believe, yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So this report is to bring an update regarding the F&I docks at Rotary Beach. Recently, we've closed an RFP for the work. We're looking to award this work to Campbell Valley Construction in the amount of just under $46,000 and proceed with the work starting September 4th, provided that we have permission from the ministry to proceed with that work. As council is aware, we've had some challenges with tenure on those docks and in that area, so we're actively working with the ministry to obtain permissions. We've applied for that tenure. We're working through the process, but we're looking to get approval to start the work before that application has gone through its full process and timelines. We've also recently received our Section 11 approvals from under the Water Sustainability Act, which is a milestone. And yeah, are just waiting for that approval from the province with regards to the tenure to move forward. So awarding this work to Campbell Valley will allow us to now move forward and get that piece in place, and hopefully in conjunction with that be able to go forward with construction in September. So just briefly, there were two options that were looked at. One was to build them at the existing elevations they were at. The second was to raise the piles approximately half a meter to bring the decking and the cross beams above the high water mark of 343, which allows us to use treated materials for those cross beams and the decking. So it would allow for a longer life on that dock and also make it at a higher elevation so it's not susceptible when we go above full pool, which we've seen over the last 2 seasons, and make it possibly susceptible to wave action and further damage.
Councillor Carlson.
Can you clarify something for me?
Yes.
In the purpose, it says the contract will be awarded to Campbell Valley Construction based on an outline 2 in the amount of 45,000, and in the conclusion, it says based on option 2 in the amount of 62,000.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah,
Okay,
so it's
it's 45
option 2 and
on
it's
the conclusion as well?
45,000, yes.
So the chart is correct?
Correct.
It's just in the conclusion that the number was incorrect?
Yep.
Okay. Then my question is, do we know why such a large variance between the company? Is it different materials? Is it just different costs? Is that simply the way it works?
It really is, when you look at quotes and responses to RFPs and tenders that we get, it's a very large range at all times, yeah. So that's part of what we do when we look through them.
So you
and-
expect the same quality of, good quality product that has a certain lifespan, and that's what we are looking for?
Yeah, most of the materials were specified. A lot of it comes down to availability and their other work and how hungry they are to do this project.
Good, thank you.
Councillor Boot, Councillor Trainer.
Mr. Johnson, I'm just wondering, provided that we get the approval from Flinro, or Flinrod, or whatever they're called now, will Campbell Valley Construction, is it in writing that they will begin on September the 4th?
So as part of the quote package was a construction schedule that they had to propose for each option. And so
Okay.
their construction schedule for option 2 was September 4th to 25th.
So we're in their schedule regardless of other projects that they may have
Yeah, so if
on
we
stream.
go forward with approval to award, we'll follow up with them early this, like tomorrow, and get that in place, and that's.
Yeah, that's just an error.
Okay, good. Good to hear that.
Councillor Trainer.
I just have a quick question. If we proceed with the work before the final approval, is there any possibility that if it wasn't passed, that construction would have to stop, or is that okay?
If the province, I mean, we will be in ongoing conversations with the province, so it's, if there was any
So
warning.
you don't have a
flags.
concern with that? No? Okay.
Chris, Mr.
No,
General?
that's, yeah, not going through the full process. That's where we've, in our verbal communication with them so far, as long as the application was in and was moving, they were comfortable with us proceeding with the construction. That is what they expressed. We're trying to get confirmation on that now.
Okay.
It is expected we'll have written
Yeah.
confirmation, not the full permitting, but written confirmation. I don't think I would want to move forward
Yeah.
without written confirmation with them that we can proceed.
Okay.
Okay. Someone like to bring Councillor Peak?
I'll bring the resolution forward for F&I dock repairs on the report dated July 23rd to be received for information.
Okay, seconder, please. Councillor Boot, thank you. Anything further? All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Okay, moving on to 14.1. Dave?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Sorry.
Hopefully, my first presentation will be fairly successful. So I understand that you have recently been discussing this item, and so this was one of the first challenges, was to determine a way forward with this particular application. So having looked at the situation, I believe, given that it is a matter of density, and as I'm sure council is fully aware, we cannot vary use or density. We have to entertain it as a bylaw amendment. As such, I have proposed an official community plan bylaw amendment that you consider the bylaws for first and second reading so that we can expedite moving along to a public hearing. This would allow the public the opportunity to provide feedback in a similar fashion as when they initially considered this application and council passed the resolution to put the restrictive covenant in place. So this process will revisit that discussion and allow you to hear from everyone regarding that. Certainly, the official community plan amendment increases the ability of council to look at the options and deal with the site-specific characteristics of the land itself more carefully through the remainder of the application process without jeopardizing any of the stated policies or intent. Having the restriction on the density as it appears in the restrictive covenant currently is sort of predicated on the absence of services. Now that the development will receive full urban services, it is fully appropriate to consider revisiting that density. What I have found often is the rural residential areas and those newly developed areas, being that they're hillside, usually the site-specific characteristics of each lot are ample for ensuring that the density does not go over or beyond our servicing capability. However, all of those details will be worked out further in the process, and any of the questions from any of the various agencies and departments will be dealt with certainly prior to subdivision approval.
Okay, thank you. Good. Questions, planner, please. Councillor Holmes.
Yeah, maybe what somebody could help me with is what I'm trying to understand is, should I be thinking of this as basically a revision to the existing proposal, or should I be thinking of it in terms of a entirely new proposal from kind of starting from scratch? Because that would I'd have questions to follow, but I'm not quite sure how to think about this.
Mr. Mayor, I'm happy to answer that. The applicant has indicated that they will be working within the same development footprint. We'll simply be looking at lots likely with a smaller frontage, which would then yield additional lots. So the minimum lot sizes will change, but the footprint, the outline of that area that is protected in the future as park, and that area that was intended to be included in the residential portion of the development remains the same. So as such, it is an amended application that we'll look at once a proposed layout comes forward for subdivision consideration.
And further to that, I think that some of the conversation that we've had is it's a very good question that Council Holmes posed, because it's really the process that was chosen to be followed over time. And the same as what we said to Council the first time that you needed to, that the first time it came to you, there was already some pathways that had gone down that made it awkward as far as where it actually was in the process. And even the covenant that was put on is not necessarily the mannerism that would be done. So I concur that it is really the only way to be looking at it is as it's amended proposal. Council either supports looking at it, hearing what the public has to say about it. It's fair to ask for an amended proposal.
Just follow up on. So if that's the way you look at it, then the previously granted variances that is referred to are still valid, as you don't have to revisit those, because they've already been granted, right?
Mr. Mayor, certainly when the new lot layout comes forward, I will consider each of the variances, and hopefully we will be able to work within those. If there's any differences discovered or proposed as part of that process, those variances will come back to council for consideration.
An example of that would have been in the layout, if perhaps some of the lot lines, that I don't know if it's applicable here, but perhaps one of the variances that was granted was because the frontages didn't meet our minimum frontage. And now, because of the way they're made, they might not, so it might not match. But the variances, like Ms. Kane said, the bigger ones, the environmental things and the permits that have been given, all of that still remain. So it's really, where the real impact is here is in the subdivision approval, which council's not involved in. This is where it needs to be looked at. Was the design of the lift station, was it designed for 67 or 68 lots, and is it need to be changed for 100 and however many there is? And that's where it's an amended application, but there may be significant differences. Here, there's not significant differences on the level of what council's looking at.
Right.
So those changes, pardon me, would come in at subdivision approval stages.
That's right. That was one of the first concerns when it first came forward, or first points of where are those going to be looked at, where do they get caught if there are changes, we don't know yet. And that's when the subdivision approving officer is given a new lot layout as far as that's why you don't have an actual lot layout now, because it goes to and then that needs to be revisited there.
And what about the street layout? Does that stay the same, or can that change?
Mr. Mayor, the street layout will essentially stay the same. There may be some minor tweaks, a meter this way or that way. Of course, those adjustments always happen during the process.
Okay, thanks.
Councillor Traynor.
I understand that the footprint is going to stay the same, but I was just wondering, would an increased density affect any of the environmental reports that have been done, because it's surrounded by environmentally sensitive area?
Mr. Mayor, certainly I will review the reports in detail, as I have not reviewed them previously, and I will do my due diligence as part of the process, but I don't anticipate any problems in that regard. Certainly, if anything comes to light, I have the authority to request additional reports to support the application if required.
Good. Councillor Booth.
Thank you. I have another question for you, Ms. Ging. I just need some clarification. So, in the OCP, that area is designated rural residential.
Correct.
And the zoning is country residential 1, CR1.
Correct.
Where does the 1/3 acre lot size reducing the country residential to 1/3 acre lot size, is that site-specific to Hunter's Hill?
Yes, it is.
Okay, good. And then here's my next question. Right now in the OCP, I'm just trying to remember, I think it's low-density residential. Does this impact at all that OCP density?
No, I don't believe
Designation?
so, but
Okay.
until we have a final lot layout, we won't
Right,
know
you
how
won't know for
close
sure.
that it is.
Okay.
But certainly, that's something that we'll look at moving forward. Currently, we have rural residential on the official community plan, and there is no equivalent OCP designation for country residential. So there is a bit of a gap there. It's all been captured under rural residential, so there's just really rural or urban. So it's appropriate that we consider this under this more general designation.
So this proposed amendment is site-specific to Hunter's Hill?
Correct. And that is why you'll see the motion is, or the recommendation is written as it is, because it is site-specific. And while we're changing the official community plan that is more broadly applicable, we want to consult with those people that are impacted by this site-specific zoning.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Anything further, Council? Would someone like to bring a resolution? Councillor Peak?
I'll bring it forward as stated in the report.
Okay, thank you. Seconder, please. Councillor Holmes? Any further discussion? Yes. Go ahead.
Just one other thing regarding the date of the public hearing. I'm just wondering if there's any, we are in the middle of the summer here, and I just, are we concerned about people not knowing about it, people being away, people who might want to participate in the public hearing not having the opportunity because it's summertime?
People don't leave Summerland in the summer, they leave in the winter.
Yeah. Gee.
I know the concern, but I think we have that concern every time.
Yeah, it is what we typically do, but council can certainly change the date. It's typical that when we bring it for first and second, we bring it to the next council meeting, but that would be open for council's discussion.
I'm fine with it as it is.
I'm fine with it as it is. I'm not really sure that people's holiday schedule should really dictate when we should be hosting public hearings necessarily, so that's all I want to say about that.
Okay. Mover and seconder, all in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Okay, moving on to expedited councilor reports.
Expedite.
Councilor Trainer.
I'll be quick. On Saturday night, I attended a Trout Creek neighborhood block party. This party was funded by a grant of $500 from the South Okanagan Community Foundation, and it was really fun, and I believe Summerland got 7 grants, and the Cartwright neighborhood is having another neighborhood party in a couple weeks, so I would encourage people to apply for one of these grants. They didn't this year, next year, because it's $500, and it's a great way to fund a party and bring all your neighbors together. That's it.
So it's just a neighborhood?
Yeah.
Isn't it understood that the mayor would be invited to each one of these neighborhood parties?
You can host your own in your own
Oh,
neighborhood.
thank you.
Yeah.
That
I meant
wasn't
that
the
in a good
answer I
way.
was looking for, Councilor Trainer, okay. Okay, next, Councilor Booth.
I'll begin by just rubbing it in. I was invited to the Trout Creek neighborhood
thank you very much.
because I used to live there and I had my business there.
Okay.
So there you go.
Point taken.
I have a very quick one as well.
Thank you.
There are people that, we think of them as living in Summerland, but really they're part of the RDOS, and I know that one of the councillors here has property in the RDS, or her family does. We had an RDOS meeting last Thursday, and our CAO just reminded the directors that people that are in the RDOS, whether or not they think that they live in Summerland, can receive emergency notifications by email, phone, or landline, like cell phone or landline, and you just sign up to Civic Ready on the rdos.bc.ca website. So that might be of interest for people that live in, kind of in Summerland, but not really. That's all I have to
Oh,
Councillor Carlson.
I don't have a report, just a thank you to everyone who's been working so hard, and it's nice not to be on alert anymore.
Yes.
Councillor Holmes. Councillor Peak.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I've met at the Chamber of Commerce Board meeting, and there was a Sister City meeting because we have students coming from Toriarcoro, so they are arriving August 7th, and council, of course, is invited to be available around 2:30 in the council chamber for a greeting and a welcome. And some of the councillors, as myself, also attended a meeting concerning the primary care network, and it was a very interesting discussion.
Thank you. Okay. Anybody from the public like to speak? The press, John? Nothing. Okay, motion to adjourn, please. Councillor Boot, Councillor Peak, thank you. All in favor? Carried, thank you.